Hey Walking Dead fans, this is going to be a video on the first Walking Dead webisode, Torn Apart. This webisode featured the iconic image of the bicycle girl that was crawling, that Rick ends up seeing and then comes back and shooting in the first season. You'll also see a running zombie and a smart zombie, and hear some radio and helicopter broadcasts, and even a conspiracy theorist. But to me, this was one of the best webisodes that they produced. So check this out. I'm going to go through all 6 parts of the webisodes. It was released one at a time, but I'll be going over all 6 parts. So check this out. So the opening scene, we see a goldfish dead in a bowl and some kids asking their mom, why do things have to die?
Why do things have to die?
That's God's plan, baby boy. Everything dies.
So then it switches to, there's a car accident. We see the mom, she's in it, and we also see that she's missing her kids, so she's frantic and she's looking around and she starts running.
Billy? Jamie? Billy! Jamie!
As she leaves the crash site, we see a red bicycle, and that's an iconic thing because that's the red bicycle that Rick gets on and starts riding once he gets out of the hospital. So we see this lady go through her neighborhood seeing the effects of the outbreak going along everywhere. She eventually gets chased by a zombie, and there's your running zombie, before she ends up at a house where a guy, he points a gun at her, but it's like, get in here, and he shoots the zombie. And that's the end of part 1, called A New Day. Part 2 opens with that same scene, and as she comes in the house, we see that, hey, that might be her husband because her kids are there, and she's reunited with her children. At one point, though, it zooms into a photo of the kids with a different lady, so you kind of automatically assume, okay, that is their mom, that is their dad, but they're divorced. She made it to the dad's house, and there's a wife somewhere.
Where's Judy?
Then we see the couple talking about kind of what's going on. And
emergency broadcast system, it took over just before the power cut out. It's happening everywhere.
And we hear the guy say some things about hearing stuff on the radio, and one of his crazy neighbors thinks it's terrorists, and that's your conspiracy theory guy. We'll meet him in just a minute.
Mike Palmer swears it's terrorists.
But part 2 ends with a little boy coming in the room. He's setting down a dog food bowl, but we see a rug wrapped up bloody, and we think, okay, I think we know what happened to the wife. And it's probably not going to turn out good later because this is early in the outbreak, and it looks like maybe a midsection torso shot, if that's a body in that rug. You know, you got to go for the head, so let's see how that turns out. And that's the end of part 2, called Family Matters. So coming into part 3, part 1 was like 2.5 minutes, part 2 was like 2 minutes long, and this one's like 3 minutes long. So at different lengths, some go by rather quickly and some give us a little more information because they're a little bit longer. So part 3 opens with a lady carrying groceries through the same neighborhood. She's walking, she sees a car, a girl's hurt, she tries to help her, and check this out. You know, trying to give CPR to a walker is not the thing to do. But, you know, it's early on. She just thought this girl was hurt. She didn't know. So she became a victim. This leads us to the next anomaly, smart zombie. This lady that got bitten ends up being the wife. She comes back to her house and ends up opening the door, going in the house and walking around in the house. Like, how did she know to go back there? So that is another instance of a smart zombie. And if you want to check out more info of kind of what I'm talking about there, check out my video called The Problem with Season 1. It's about Frank Darabont doing the first season and stuff, and some of the stuff that he put in the show. So be sure to check out that video. Link is in the description, and I'll probably put it at the end of the video as well. But we do end up seeing the wife come around the corner. The guy's startled. He does shoot her in the torso. Oh my God, I shot my wife. And he doesn't know about the head injury thing yet. It's early on. So he rolls her up in the rug and kind of hides her for the moment, kind of just trying to deal with everything. And that's the end of part 3, called Domestic Violence. Part 4 opens with the husband looking through what looks like in the basement. But at the moment, you don't know it's not his basement until a gun comes up to the back of his head. And this is where we meet the neighbor, the conspiracy theorist kind of guy who thinks it's terrorists.
Come on.
Get your head, Rux. What the hell are you doing down here?
So what happens is this guy thinks terrorists did it, and he doesn't really like his neighbor. He never really did. He thought, you know, his neighbor was always better than him and things like that. So his wife and 2 kids upstairs got turned. He was able to put down his wife. It looks like he got bit on the leg, probably by one of his kids, but he wasn't able to put them down, and you still hear them rumbling around upstairs. It's really a sad moment, and I think this part 4 is actually the best of all the 6 parts of the webisode. So the husband was just looking for a gun, he tells the neighbor, and we saw from earlier that the dad did have a shotgun that did kill the dog, so we see that played out, but this is how he ended up getting the gun.
You got a bigger problem than a rabid dog.
The neighbor tells him about the wife and kids and asks him to put down the kids because he wasn't able to.
You gotta get to a hospital.
Ain't you heard? CDC's working up a cure. At least that's what the Asian chick says on the news now. It's terrorist. Yep. They figured out how to blow us away without using bombs.
And then as part 4 ends, we see the neighbor give him the shotgun and say, take care of me, and then please take care of my kids, and see you later. Good luck.
Shot her a while ago. My wife. Not the kids. I couldn't do the kid. All your horses up there! Papa's on his way! Good luck to you, Andy. I never did like you. Until now.
And that's the end of part 4, called Neighborly Advice. Part 5 opens back at the husband's house with the ex-wife and the kids. This episode is about 2 minutes long, and this whole webisode is pretty much about the new wife or the stepmother getting up out of the rug and trying to attack the children. And the ex-wife comes in with an axe, leave my family alone, which was a really cool scene.
Dead. He's not dead. You're a jerk. Not sleeping. Daddy said. Daddy's a liar. You should know that.
Stay away from my family!
And that's the end of part 5, called Stepmother. I've been calling her the new wife this whole time. So then the last part, part 6, opens with the wife and the kids holding each other and the husband, and one of them mentions a truck outside, and the husband says, I know where the keys are, and he goes to get them back down into the basement. Big mistake.
We can't just sit around waiting for help to arrive. We have to get to a city. Atlanta. I know where the keys are.
He sees a blood trail and...
Oh my God.
So then we cut to a helicopter announcing a message about meeting at a concession stand in the park and then probably going on to Atlanta.
People within the sound of my voice should make their way to the green concession stand. We can interrupt you to a government facility in Atlanta.
The wife has waited and waited till the next day, and the ex-husband just hasn't returned. So she pretty much gives out and says, look, kids, we got to go. So they take off by themselves, trying to get to the park. The mom spots that one car we've seen before sitting there and tries to see if the keys are in it, but the inevitable happens and she gets bit.
Here's keys.
So she tells the kids, hey, here's the gun, try to make it to the park, take your brother, just goodbye, I love you, and it's pretty much she knows it's over because of what she's seen so far. And she sends the kids away.
Here, take that. I want you to run, okay? You run, you get your brother to the concession stand. I want you to run as fast as you know how.
And that's the end of part 6, called Everything Dies, which was kind of the theme, the whole overall theme. You heard it in the first scene of part 1, and it kind of echoed all the way through. Okay, now here's this one part. She just kind of stands there and lets these things take her and eat her. And I mean, you know, watching that is just gruesome and shocking, and, you know, visually it's cool. But I just want to say, I've seen this several times in the Walking Dead show, that people just kind of succumb to the whatever, they've been bit or they know they're not going to make it out, and they just let these things eat them. Hey, I don't want to be eaten by walkers. That's just not the way I would want to go out. I would escape. I would, try to find a gun and end it that way. If I had a gun, I would end it that way. You know, any other way except getting eaten by people, you know, walkers even. It's just crazy. I couldn't imagine being eaten alive. So that's another thing you can comment on. If you've been bitten or something in the apocalypse like that, would you just let those things eat you alive? Oh my God, I don't think so. I wouldn't. I would even let the fever kill me and let me turn before I would let those things eat me, I think. That's just me. But then we see her half-eaten, pretty much her torso down is gone, and she's right next to that bicycle that we see Rick pick up. But what's really cool, and kind of a shout out to Greg Nicotero, is the transition of time as she decomposed and starts crawling away. And the next time we see her is when Rick finds her path of the crawl and tracks her down crawling and ends her walker life. But there it is, Walking Dead fans. That's the Walking Dead webisode called Torn Apart. So I'll be doing videos on all the webisodes. So keep a check out for those, or check my video list for those. As always, thanks for watching. You know I really appreciate it, guys. Please share and tell your friends, or share it on Facebook. Let people know about it. Let's get the subscribers up so everybody can enjoy more Dead stuff.